So you're not just tired, you're exhausted. And not because you haven't been trying. Quite the opposite. You've been trying so hard to hold on to yourself, to be enough to make the world obey your will, even as life refuses to move. The more effort you pour into chasing what isn't truly yours, the faster it slips away, and the more drained you feel. You find yourself reaching for peace, clarity, or love, only to have it dangle just out of reach, no matter how desperately you stretch your arms. But what if you're stuck because you're clinging too tightly to the thing you most want, the thing you're meant to let go of? Before we go deeper, consider joining Insightful Journey, a space where every video is an invitation to find calm, clarity, and Buddhist insight you won't find elsewhere. This isn't just about releasing your grasp, it's about understanding why letting go is more powerful than chasing ever could be. If you connect with this message, let us know in the comments below. Even if you're not sure what to say, just type, "I'm done chasing," and please, stay until the end. There's a lesson coming that could quietly change the way everything flows in your life. Let's begin with the paradox of release. Sometimes what you let go of is what stays. Could it be that by holding on so tightly, you're actually pushing away what you long for? We devote our energy to seeking love, success, and clarity, convinced that if we just try harder, life will give in. But the paradox is clear. The tighter your grip, the more things elude you. It's like grabbing sand in a closed fist. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through the cracks. Yet when you finally open your hands, when you stop clutching and start trusting, something unexpected happens. The world begins to lean in towards you. There's a story about a man sitting silently in a forest, his hand held open as a butterfly came to rest on his palm. He remained completely still, breathing quietly, his hand soft and relaxed. The butterfly stayed on his hand for what felt like an eternity. But as soon as he felt the impulse to hold onto it, to keep it forever, he began closing his fingers. The moment the man tried to control the butterfly, it sensed his fear and flew away. Life is that butterfly. It lingers where there's freedom and departs where there's. Buddhist wisdom teaches, when you stop grasping, the world comes closer to listen. Letting go isn't about indifference, it's about trust. It means recognizing that what's truly yours can never be lost, and what isn't yours will never bring you peace. This isn't passive surrender, it's the height of spiritual intelligence. You stop manipulating and start aligning. You stop chasing and start flowing. In today's world, we're encouraged to hustle, to chase after goals, to never rest. But the things that matter most, love, peace, purpose, can't be caught like a prize. They arrive like a breeze, gently, only when you're still enough to feel them. They come to open hearts, not clenched fists. Can you sense the difference between grasping for something and simply welcoming? Take a quiet moment. Close your eyes. Imagine your deepest longing, love, clarity, peace, resting softly in your open palm. Don't reach for it, just feel its presence, trust its timing. And gently ask yourself, what am I gripping too tightly right now? Is it a relationship, a dream, a future you can't stop planning? Could it be that peace doesn't begin with gaining something new, but with ending the need to chase? It's a question that turns our usual logic upside down. Letting go isn't about loss. It's about making room for things to come into alignment, for timing to unfold on its own, for your life to move in its natural rhythm. The real paradox is this: when you release the desperate need for something, when you stop saying, "I must have this to be okay," you create the perfect conditions for it to stay. The things we cling to most tightly, the dreams, the validations, the assurances, often slip through our fingers. But when we open our hands, our hearts, our minds, we make space for a different kind of arrival. Not by force but by grace. What would happen if instead of pushing life to fit our plans, we allowed ourselves to be shaped by life? This could be your meditation today. Rest in the open palm of surrender. Let life land where it wishes, because what is truly meant for you doesn't need to be chased, it simply needs to be received. Chasing, paradoxically, keeps what you desire at a distance. The more you pursue, the more elusive your goal becomes, because what belongs to you flows gently toward those who are no longer desperate to grasp it. Chasing isn't always inspiration in action, sometimes it's fear in disguise. We believe we're moving toward love, success, or fulfillment out of passion, but often we're running away from silence, from emptiness, from the quiet voice within, saying, "Stay, be still." The faster we flee from emptiness, the more power it holds over us. Picture this. A man sprints down a lonely road, believing he's chasing something important, but he's not really chasing. He's being chased, not by something outside himself, but by his own discomfort. He can't sit still, because stillness would mean facing what he's avoiding. So he runs harder, louder, busier, but his shadow, the sense that something is missing, only grows larger. Like trying to outrun darkness, he forgets that the darkness is part of him, and no matter how far he goes, it travels with him. Buddhism teaches that suffering doesn't come from what we lack, but from how tightly we cling to the illusion of lack. Chasing is often a hidden expression of fear, a fear that we are incomplete, that only with this achievement, this person, this certainty will we finally be whole. But consider gently, what emotion are you avoiding by chasing? What part of yourself do you fear meeting in silence? To chase is to say, "I cannot rest until I get what I need." But what if that very need is what keeps it away? Perhaps the universe waits for your energy to settle before delivering what is meant for you. When muddy water is left undisturbed, it becomes clear. In the same way, clarity comes not through frantic motion, but through stillness. Today, try sitting quietly for just a minute. No distractions, no goals, just your breath. You might feel restless, anxious, even hollow. Let that discomfort speak. Listen, because behind every chase is a quiet truth trying to reach you. You are not empty. You are simply unaccustomed to the fullness that comes only in silence. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about facing your fear and choosing stillness anyway. Choosing peace over performance. Truth over tension. Alignment over effort. Who are you without your desires pushing you forward? This question holds your real freedom. It's easy to confuse momentum with meaning, but some of the most meaningful moments come when you finally stop and rest in the present. When you stop needing and start noticing, you are no longer running away, you're arriving. What if everything you wish for is already on its way, waiting for you to stop running long enough to welcome it? Let this be your pause today. Remember, the one who chases never truly arrives. The one who lets go is already home. Your shadow doesn't shrink when you run from it. It shrinks only when you turn and face it, when you allow stillness, silence, and self-acceptance to work in your life. In the natural world, we see a different logic. A leaf doesn't chase the wind. It drifts on currents far greater than its own will, traveling farther than it ever could by striving. Stillness isn't the absence of movement, it's alignment with a deeper motion, a flow that the anxious mind cannot imagine. We often believe that if we stop striving, we'll fall behind, that to pause is to fail. But have you ever looked into a calm lake reflecting the sky, perfectly still, focal clear? If the lake is stirred by force, the water becomes muddy, restless, unclear. So it is with the heart that seeks to force answers. It stirs up confusion and hides its own reflection. Nature knows, clarity comes from stillness, alignment comes from letting go. And perhaps peace arrives, not when you reach, but when you are truly ready to receive. Rethinking clarity and control, the paradox of stillness. We often believe that the path to clarity is paved with effort, trying harder, thinking faster, pushing more. But what if the desire to rush towards solutions actually disturbs the very peace we seek. Buddhist wisdom suggests that true insight doesn't arise from effort alone. Instead, it blooms from awareness, which can only emerge when we become quiet enough to truly notice. When your mind is always shouting, always grasping, it's impossible to hear the subtle voice of truth. You cannot receive from life what you're always reaching for. Open hands are required for clarity to land. The nature of stillness is not passive resignation. It's a perceptive, intentional pause. By not stirring the waters, by releasing the need to control every outcome, you allow life to reveal itself at its own pace. The natural world teaches us surrender. A tree doesn't chase spring, it trusts the cycle of seasons and lets new life come in its own time. When you are still, you move not from fear or pressure, but from peace and alignment. There's a crucial difference between movement and real progress. Sometimes we spin endlessly, mistaking motion for growth. But true depth comes when we stop, rest, and listen. Stillness invites you beneath the surface to reconnect with an ancient, wise part of yourself that knows more than your busy mind ever could. Awareness and the power of pause. You don't need more force, you need more. Trust that silence is not empty, it's alive with answers. If you are quiet enough to hear them, take a breath today. Sit in silence, listen not for words, but for the living presence beneath them. Stillness is not about doing nothing, it's about doing the most important thing, remembering who you are when you stop trying to become someone else. Ask yourself, amid the noise of chasing, are you listening to the world's demands, or your own soul's whisper? One leads you in endless circles, the other leads you home. Letting go as spiritual power. Letting go is not weakness. In Buddhist teaching, detachment is a form of wisdom in motion. The more tightly you cling to people, outcomes, plans, the more life resists. The moment you release, peace begins to flow. Power is not in control, but in the courage to release. True strength is shown not by how much you can control, but by how much you can let go without fear. Like the sun which does not cling to its light, but simply shines, you too become a source of warmth and presence when you stop grasping. The fear of loss can make us hold on tighter, but this energy of fear only exhausts us and pushes away what we long to protect. Sometimes, the things we try hardest to keep are the ones that drift away because we've rooted ourselves in fear, not flow. Letting go is a remembering. It's the realization that you were never truly in control, and you never needed to be. You are made to move with life, not against it. A simple practice. Close your eyes, breathe in deeply, then exhale. With your breath, release all expectations for today, the need to control, the plan, the outcome. For a moment, let go. Notice what remains. Peace, presence, the quiet intelligence of now. This is not loss, but homecoming. In stillness, you rediscover not just clarity, but a deeper wisdom, the kind that moves you without effort, guides you without force, and shines simply by being. The wisdom of trust, release, and sacred receiving. Life's intelligence beyond fear. When we choose to trust, even gently, we discover that life operates with an intelligence far deeper than our fears can grasp. The things we cling to, relationships, dreams, plans, often end up gripping us back, keeping us from true freedom. There is a gentle invitation here. Ask yourself what you're holding so tightly, and what it is about that grip that scares you most. What do you fear will fall apart if you stop trying to hold everything together? Letting go, far from signaling defeat, is the start of something honest and aligned. It's a quiet movement from struggle into something more authentic, less about control, more about presence. The power of surrender. In Buddhist practice, the breath is a refuge, a reminder to return, exhale, and surrender. This isn't about instant transformation, but about remembering. Each exhale is a small act of letting go, a declaration of faith in a process much larger than your will. You are not here to force, but to become still enough for life to take shape around you. The things truly meant for you will stay not because you control them, but because they belong. Letting go isn't weakness. It is trust at its highest form. What is held gently stays. What is held too tightly slips. Pain too is a messenger, not a punishment. When suffering arrives, it often foretells a breakthrough. Pain dismantles the walls built around the soul, not to hurt, but to make space for something truer to emerge. The image of fire burning a rope that tethers a bird is powerful. Though it may sting at first, it allows for flight. Buddhist wisdom suggests we do not run from pain, but sit with it. Let it speak. In stillness, pain reveals our illusions and attachment. It asks us to notice what we're afraid to lose, and what might be waiting on the other side of that loss. The sacred nature of loss and letting go. When a relationship ends, or a dream fade, silence settles into once familiar corners. Our habit is to chase, fix, pull it all back. But what if pain is the soul's way of saying, let go so you can move? Loss is not always punishment. Sometimes it's a clearing. Disappointment and heartbreak are not punishments, but signposts, gates and compasses, guiding us into new territory if we pause long enough to notice. Grief, rushed or numbed, causes us to miss the treasure within its ashes. Ask instead, what has this pain tried to free you from? Has it loosened your grip on control, humbled your pride, forced you to rest, listen, or change? We fear letting go because we believe we lose a part of ourselves. But pain teaches that the self we're losing was never who we truly were. Beneath the noise and scars, a quieter, truer self emerges, one that doesn't need to chase because it has nothing to prove. Healing comes not from chasing, but from allowing, from stopping resistance and letting pain pass through, not as punishment, but as preparation. The art of receiving, desperation, and urgency block the flow. Wanting too much, we forget the nature of receiving. Imagine trying to pour water into a clenched hand. No matter how tightly you hold, the water escapes. True receiving requires open hands, a heart spacious, calm, and trust. You do not chase rain from the sky, nor do you beg the wind to move leaves. They arrive when it is time. The spiritual path is not about endless striving, but about sacred receptivity. What if what you long for isn't out of reach, but simply unable to land in a space already crowded with craving? Many of us chase from fear, not faith, from the belief that we lack, rather than the knowing that we are already enough. Abundance is not something to chase, but something to recognize even now. Dreams and visions remain, but the energy shifts from demanding to inviting, from controlling to allowing. A gentle invitation. Pause today, breathe, release, even if just for a moment. Notice what remains. Freedom begins where resistance ends. The sun does not clutch its light, but radiates freely. You too can become a source, not by grasping, but by letting go, receiving, and becoming still enough for your life to form itself anew. You don't have to hold so tightly. What belongs, stays. What slips away was never meant to remain. And the peace you seek, it's already here, waiting for you to stop running long enough to receive. Welcoming the universe, the power of stillness and non-attachment, the shift from control to trust. The universe does not respond to desperation, it meets us in stillness. When we quiet the noise within, we become open to a deeper guidance, one that is drowned out by urgency, grasping, and the illusion of control. Surrendering our grip is not passivity, it is preparation for something truer to arrive. Letting go allows us to see life's overlooked blessings, those small signs of grace we missed while fixated on what we wanted to force into being. This willingness to release is not weakness, it is the strength to trust the unfolding of what is meant for you. Stillness is an invitation. The emptiness you fear, the space left when you let go, is not a void, but the threshold to fulfillment. It's a sacred pause, demanding nothing, yet open to everything. Ask yourself, is your desire rooted in trust or panic? Are you building walls of expectation or creating space for life to surprise you? True readiness is not about forcing outcomes, but about being prepared to receive what comes in its time, in its form. Try this practice today. Let go of one mental demand you've been repeating. Replace it with space, breath, stillness. Notice how your spirit lightens. Feel how much more can enter when you stop trying to control. The paradox of effort and effortlessness. When you chase with frantic energy, clenched fists, what you seek seems to slip further away. The more you push, the more resistance you meet. Like rowing against the tide, only when you pause, rest, and surrender do the unseen forces begin to move in your life. Something deeper awakens, not in your will, but in the space created by your letting go. Surrender is the gateway. Sometimes it's only when your hands are empty that the universe begins to pour its gifts. This is not about giving up, it's about making room for what is real, and letting go of what is not meant for you, without resistance, regret, or fear. Non-attachment, the purest love. Non-attachment is not coldness or indifference. It is the most refined form of love, one that honors, protects, and witnesses, but never clutches. Real caring is presence, not possession. Like wind moving through bamboo, love supports and touches, but never demands. It is walking beside someone, not controlling their journey. Attachment wears a mask. We say, I can't live without you, believing it's devotion, but often it's fear, fear of our own emptiness, our own unmet selves. True love does not cling. It does not falter in the face of change. It remains, not out of compulsion, but by choice. Non-attachment does not diminish love, it purifies it. Ask yourself, where has attachment disguised itself as love in your life? What loves or dreams do you clutch so tightly that they begin to suffocate? Today's invitation: practice non-attachment with someone you care about deeply. Listen without fixing. Be present without proving. Allow them to float, trusting the river. Letting go is not rejection. It is reverence, a deep respect for the path of others and the wisdom of life's flow. A reminder for your path. You do not have to hold so tightly. What is meant for you will not leave because you loosen your grip. It stays because it belongs. The ones who remain in your life do so by choice, not by. The art of letting go is not about losing, but about remembering who you are and becoming strong enough to honor freedom in yourself and in others. Today, allow yourself to pause, breathe, release one expectation, one demand, notice the space that opens, the quiet intelligence of the universe waiting to meet you there. Let go not because you are afraid but because you are finally ready to receive. The unseen work of letting go, surrender as sacred collaboration. When you finally rest, when you stop striving, controlling, and clinging, the unseen currents of life begin their quiet work. Imagine a small boat, tied tightly to the shore, its owner exhausted from endless rowing, convinced that more effort will finally bring movement. But the sea obeys its own rhythm. The tide can only rise when the oars are stilled and the rope is untied. Miracles do not come on command. They arrive in silence, like the tide swelling when no one is watching, and the stars burning in the night without our permission. When the restless ego sleeps, the universe awakens to its true worth. The most extraordinary shifts emerge, not from force, but from stillness. Letting go as collaboration, not defeat. Letting go is not giving up. It is entering into collaboration with something deeper than your will. You release your personal timeline, your need for things to happen now, your way so that a greater, wiser timing can enter. You loosen your grip, not because you do not care, but because you finally sense that something beyond your plans is already in motion. Letting go does not mean you stop showing up. It means you stop trying to control what is beyond you and start trusting what is already unfolding. Close your eyes, take a breath, notice the quiet hum of existence. Trees growing, stars burning, hearts beating, all without your direction. There is a larger intelligence at work, one that has never stopped moving in your favor, but your constant interference keeps it from reaching you. Ask yourself, are you so busy pushing everything into place that there's no room left for grace? Are you so focused on the outcome that life has no space to surprise you? The practice of stillness. Step back, just for a moment, rest the oars, and trust the current. The shift you seek may already be on its way, but it cannot land until the waters of your mind are calm. The greatest transformations, the ones that bring you home to yourself, do not arrive when you push harder. They come when you finally allow yourself to stop. In that sacred pause, everything begins to change. Letting go is not about loss. It is about returning, peeling away what doesn't belong to your spirit, the opinions that shaped you, the goals born from fear, the roles you never chose. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Imagine a traveler, weighed down by a heavy pack. The journey is difficult, not because of the climb, but because of the unnecessary burden. When he finally releases it, the path becomes lighter, freer, even beautiful. This is the essence of letting go. You don't lose your way, you recover it. Invitation to sacred stillness. Try this today. Sit in silence. Notice your breath. Feel the quiet pulse of life moving through you. Let go of one expectation, one attachment, one fear, just for now. Notice what happens. You may feel lighter, clearer, more aligned. This is not passivity. It is the highest form of courage. You don't have to chase your destiny. You only have to become quiet enough to recognize when it arrives. Sometimes the way forward is found not by climbing higher, but by releasing what you were never meant to carry. Letting go is not the end. It is a homecoming, an invitation to remember and to receive what is truly yours. Let the unseen forces work. Rest the oars, untie the rope, and wait, in stillness, for the tide to rise. A pause, a breath, a homecoming. The quiet courage of releasing and receiving. You find your breath again. You find your peace again. You find yourself again. This gentle reunion is not an event you must chase. It is a remembrance, a slow, deliberate return to the awareness beneath all your striving. The journey home begins with stillness. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, release one burden, just one, that was never yours to carry. Perhaps it's the persistent whisper that you are behind, a fear that keeps you chasing approval, or the unspoken grief of believing you are not enough. Breathe it out. Let it go. These voices do not belong to the soul you came here with. Who are you beneath the striving? You are not your achievements. You are not your failures. You are not your goals. You are the quiet awareness, the presence that watches every experience rise and fall, like clouds drifting across a still sky. Underneath all your reaching, grasping, proving, what remains is unshaken. The essence that existed before the world told you who to be. Perhaps the very thing you've been chasing has been circling you all along, waiting for you to become still enough to receive. Maybe what you truly seek is not out in the world, but within you. Quiet, patient, whispering through the noise. Come home. Letting go as sacred surrender. Letting go is not giving up. It is not indifference or weak. Letting go is giving in to the truth, to alignment, to the peace that comes from carrying only what is truly yours. It is a homecoming to breath alone, to bare presence, to the version of you that needs no decoration, validation, or finish line. Today, have the courage to release one thing, not because you failed, but because you've remembered. It was never meant to travel with you. Trust the flow you cannot see. In every seeker's journey, there comes a moment when the road vanishes. The signposts, the certainty, the stars, all go quiet. Your mind may panic, it clings to plans, maps, anything familiar. But your soul leans forward. Your soul understands a deeper truth. Not every river must be understood before you cross it. Some currents carry you only when you stop asking where they are going. Walking without a map, we are taught to seek clarity, to demand a full picture before we take a step. But life, in its wisdom, often withholds the full view, not as punishment, but as an invitation to trust. Can you walk when the path is missed? Can you step forward, not knowing your destination? Imagine flying through dense fog, unable to see the land below, but rising anyway because the wind beneath your wings is real, even if invisible. This is the spiritual journey. It asks, not for control but for courage. It offers no certainty, only presence. When you surrender the need to know, you become available to experience what can never be planned. Blessings, miracles, wisdom that arrives only in stillness. The gift of uncertainty. Many suffer not from the path itself, but from their need to see the ending. Yet, clarity is not a prerequisite for courage. The soul already knows it does not need all the answers. Trust does not eliminate fear, it simply makes fear unnecessary. You do not need to understand the river to cross it, you only need to trust it will carry you. Imagine life as a tide. There is grace in ceasing to paddle upstream, in letting go of questions that were never yours to answer. Some journeys can only begin when your grip on certainty ends. Ask yourself, do you trust the journey more than the destination? Can you walk even when your vision is blurred, knowing the next step is enough? A gentle invitation, let go. Not because you are afraid, but because you are finally ready to let the unseen forces work. Rest the oars, untie the rope, become still enough for the tide to return. You are not lost. You are remembering. Today release one burden, and feel the difference. Notice what remains when the grip loosens. Peace, presence, and the quiet courage to walk forward, even when the path is hidden. You do not have to see the whole journey to begin. Sometimes, the greatest movement happens when you finally allow yourself to stop. Letting go is not loss, it is return. It is homecoming. Breathe, trust, walk. The soul already knows. The sacred space of emptiness, the spiritual power of letting go. Every moment, however ordinary, is already enough. Every breath is holy. Each step, even when it leads you into the unknown, is sacred. In the thickest fog, the most important guidance is not clarity of vision, but clarity of presence. Walking forward, even when you cannot see the destination, is not an act of blindness, but of profound trust. A trust that your heart already knows a rhythm deeper than fear can silence. The gift of unknowing. Letting go is not always about loss. Sometimes it is about relaxing your relentless need to understand, to define, to control. When you loosen your grip on the map, when you allow the mist to obscure the future, you make space for miracles you could never plan. The forest parts before you. The river carries you. The unseen hand steers your course, not because you demanded it, but because you surrendered to a current greater than your will. Emptiness is not a lack. It is the birthplace of all power. True abundance is found not in accumulation, but in the space you allow. A bowl is most useful, not because it is full, but because it is open. Only then can it receive what truly nourishes. You could spend a lifetime rushing, gathering, chasing the illusion that more will make you whole. But have you ever considered that having nothing, being truly empty, could be the gateway to receiving everything? Our minds resist this truth. They fill the gaps between thoughts and actions with noise, afraid of what silence might reveal. But your soul knows that these empty spaces are sacred, like a hollow flute that can only sing when it is empty. Its music depends not on what it holds, but on what it allows to pass through. Your true power comes not from what you fill yourself with, but from what you are willing to let move through you. The courage of stillness. Our culture teaches us to fear emptiness, to equate it with lack, failure, or loss. We are conditioned to value usefulness, productivity, and constant doing. But spiritual power does not arise from force, it flourishes in surrender. When you are emptied of expectations, false identities, worn-out dreams, a new clarity emerges, a quiet, undeniable strength. Close your eyes, notice the space between your thoughts, the pause between breaths. That is where life begins anew. Not in the noise but in the stillness between. Power does not always roar, often it arrives as a whisper, if you are quiet enough to hear it. What if the silence you've been avoiding is the doorway to the life you've been seeking? Emptiness is not a void. It is a womb. It gives birth to new vision. It renews tired hearts. It prepares you to receive what cannot land in hands that are clenched or minds that are crowded. Ask yourself, are you willing to be emptied so life can fill you in ways you could never imagine? Can you release your need to control what flows in and out, and instead become a vessel, open, trusting, ready to receive not what you demand, but what is truly meant for you? The art of true receiving. You do not need more to become more. You only need to create space, like the sky making room for the sun, the bowl for the offering, the flute for the breath. Let go of the fear that nothingness means failure. In truth, it means readiness. Readiness to be filled with joy, peace, love. Not because you chased them but because you made room for them. The greatest power lives in the silence you resist. To enter that silence, to sit with it, to trust it, this is the real journey. Let go and the universe rushes in. Not to fill what is broken, but to bless what is open. Empty yourself of what no longer serves you, and what remains is your real self. Unadorned, unshaken, free. The art of letting go is not a gesture of defeat, but a dance. The dance of the divine. A practice for today. Take a breath. Close your eyes. Release one need to know, one need to control, one need to fill the space. Notice what happens when you allow yourself to be empty. What fills you now is not your doing, but life's own grace. Let go of the map. Trust the current. In that sacred pause, you are not lost. You are remembering. Walk forward, not because you see the end, but because your heart beats with the rhythm of something greater than fear. Let the fog rise. Let the mist hide the way. Let emptiness be your teacher, your sanctuary, your truest home. The deepest miracles happen not when you grasp, but when you let go, and the divine rushes in to fill what you dared to open. The sacred art of surrender, embracing the paradox of letting go. There is a sacred moment, quiet, invisible, and deeply personal, when the universe leans in to witness your willingness to let go. This is not a dramatic epiphany, but a soft, dusk-like invitation, asking you to release what you've carried too long. In this stillness, letting go becomes a dance, an alignment with rhythms and intelligence far greater than any plan or desire. This is the heart of spiritual wisdom. You are not here to chase life, but to allow it. The illusion of control and the paradox of chasing. We are conditioned to believe that chasing and clutching bring achievement and security. Yet the deeper wisdom of life reveals the opposite. The tighter you grip, the further what you desire drifts. Like trying to hold wind in your hands, control is an illusion. You cannot command the tides, the seasons, or the hearts of others. You can only trust the current and let it carry you. Surrender is not weakness. It is trust embodied. Imagine a dandelion seed, fragile, weightless, carried effortlessly by the wind. Without resistance, it travels farther than any determined step. The magic of surrender is this. When you stop pushing, life begins to flow. As you exhale, imagine your dreams, worries, and timelines lifting from your grasp, drifting like dandelion seeds into the hands of a greater wisdom. You are not losing them. You are giving them space, space to land where they are meant to bloom, perhaps even more beautifully than you imagined. The invitation to become available, letting go, is not giving up. It is giving in to the intelligence of life itself. A river does not fear the bend. A tree does not beg for the next season. Why then do we cling so tightly to our version of how things should be? The art of letting go is the art of becoming available to wonder, to grace, to blessings hidden beyond your plans. Ask yourself, if you released everything right now, who would you become? What weight would fall from your shoulders? What peace would fill your chest? Control is exhausting. Surrender is energizing. It frees your soul to breathe, dance, love without fear. Beauty and peace are always seeking you, but they can't land in clenched fists. They wait for openness, trust, and willingness to receive without condition. A practice for today. Pause. Exhale. Imagine releasing just one thing you no longer need to carry. An expectation, a need to control, an outdated version of yourself. Feel the space that opens. Notice that what remains is not emptiness, but readiness for joy, for peace, for the trust the intelligence of life. You don't need to chase the wind to be carried by it. You only need to let go of the ground you think you must control. The real journey begins with letting go. The real journey does not begin with effort or fear, but with sacred surrender, elegance, freedom, faith. Let go and watch the miracle unfold. The divine does not need your force, only your openness. When you let go, you do not fall behind. You arrive home to yourself, in rhythm with the universe. Letting go is not the end. It is the beginning, a return to the breath, to presence, to the version of you that needs no decoration, no validation, no finish line. It is the art of remembering you are already enough. You are simply being asked to notice the alchemy of deep listening and sacred letting go. True clarity does not come from frantic action, but from the rare courage to pause and listen, not just with the ears, but with the heart, body. When we silence the rush, the noise, and the need to control, the path within us begins to reveal itself. Inner silence becomes our guide, offering answers that chaos conceals. Life does not begin to align when we command it, but when we stop forcing it to fit our timeline. The art of letting go is not passivity or defeat, it is clarity in action, a spiritual power that returns you to your true nature. The paradox of release. Letting go is not about losing, it's about remembering. By releasing what no longer serves, expectations, unfulfilled dreams, anxious desires, you stop leaking energy. True strength is found in not needing to hold on to what disturbs your peace. That is mastery. Pain is not punishment. It is a liberating teacher. Suffering often arrives to highlight hidden attachments, revealing what quietly drains your vitality. When you listen to pain instead of fleeing, you unearth deeper healing. Freedom begins where resistance ends. Excessive wanting blocks recede. Desire, when unchecked, becomes resistance, occupying the space meant for blessing and grace. To receive, you must sometimes become empty, not to lack, but to be filled anew. The purest love, non-attachment, and sacred presence. Non-attachment is not the absence of love, but its highest form. Real love does not need to control or possess. When you love from presence rather than possession, you allow others to be fully free, and paradoxically, deepen the bond. Attachment clouds clarity. It's easy to confuse clutching with caring, but true devotion is spacious, not suffocating. Freedom, not fear, is love's home. The unseen forces. When ego steps aside, the more you push, the more you delay what the universe is trying to deliver. Sometimes the greatest offering you can make to life is your absence of effort, a stepping aside so that something greater can move in. The unseen moves in the space left by surrender. When you release control, you reclaim a power far deeper than domination, the power of alignment, grace, and synchronicity. Letting go is not loss, but a return to wholeness, a reconnection with what truly matters. Faith in the unknown. Trust is walking forward without needing proof. The unknown is not the enemy, it is the dance of unfolding. True faith is quiet, still, rooted, not in certainty, but in deep trust in life's rhythm. Emptiness is not a void, but the birthplace of all power. When you allow yourself to be empty, not hungry, not grasping, you become receptive to inspiration, clarity, and transformation. The most profound truths are whispered into still minds. The quiet rebellion against chaos. Letting go is an ancient wisdom, a quiet rebellion against chaos. It is a silent agreement with life itself. I trust you now. Every moment you release control, you reclaim not power over life, but the power of deep inner alignment. Clarity, grace, and synchronicity begin where effort ends. What once felt out of reach arrives with ease when your hands are finally open, not clenched. When you let go of who you imagine yourself to be, you become what you are meant to be. You do not need to chase what already belongs to you. Just stay rooted, stay still, stay awake. Life finds its way to those who no longer demand it. A practice for presence. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what am I finally ready to let go of so that peace can take its place? This is not an ending, but a beginning, an invitation to reconnect with the quiet, wise self you have always been. If these insights resonate with you, join our community at Insightful Journey for more practices rooted in Buddhist mindfulness and meditation for resilience, inner peace, and healthy relations. Share your journey in the comments and consider subscribing for more wisdom on living a life aligned with grace, trust, and true freedom. The art of letting go is the dance of the divine, a sacred participation in the unfolding of life itself. You are not here to chase, but to receive, not to force, but to trust. In surrender, you do not lose, you become, you return, you remember.